Today we'll be doing the Algebra 2 end of the year study guide. And I would like for you to do the even problems with me. It says factor completely. So we're going to go ahead and factor using the group method. We group these two. And then we group these two. So you notice that we can factor x squared. So we have 4x plus 5. On the other one, we can factor negative 4. So we have 4x plus 5. Now you notice that we have 4x plus 5, and we have 4x plus 5 as a common factor. So it's 4x plus 5 times x squared minus 4. Now we notice that x squared minus 4 is a difference of squares. That's 4x plus 5 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to factor by grouping. We're going to group these two. And we're going to group these two. And so I have parentheses around the first two. So the greatest common factor is v squared. So we're left with 6v plus 5. Now, the common factor between 24 and 20 will be negative 4. So we have 6v plus 5. Now, if you want to check if we did it correctly, all you have to do is distribute. Now we notice that we have 6v plus 5, and we also have 6v plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and factor that. So I have 6v plus 5. That's factored, and that's factored. And now we're left with v squared minus 4. Now you can factor v squared minus 4. So it's 6v plus 5, and that's a difference of squares. So v plus 2 times v minus 2. And that's what it factors to. Solve each equation by factoring. We know that k squared plus 40 equals 13k. We're going to move the 13k to the left side, and we're going to do that by subtracting. So we have k squared minus 13k plus 40 equals 0. So now you find the factors of 40 that when you add them give you negative 13k. So the two factors are k minus 8 and k minus 5. Because negative 8 times negative 5 gives you 40, positive 40. And negative 8 plus negative 5 gives you negative 13. Then you set each factor equal to 0. So k equals 8 and k equals 5. Now, if you want to check, you can also substitute. And I'll just do one, and then I know that, well, I'll try to do both of them. So we have 8 squared. We have 8 squared plus 40 equals 13 times 8. And you notice it's true. So now we're going to do 5. So we have 5 squared plus 40 equals 13 times 5. That's true. Okay, for number 10, we're going to solve r squared minus 11r equals negative 24. So we're going to rewrite it. R squared minus 11r plus 24 equals 0. So go ahead and find the factors of 24 that add up to be negative 11. So we know that the factors will be r minus 8 and r minus 3, since negative 3 times negative 8 gives you positive 24, and negative 8 plus negative 3 gives you negative 11. You set each factor equal to 0. So r equals 8 and r equals 3, and then you'd want to check just the way I did earlier. Use set notation to write the domain and range of this function. And here is the function. It is a quadratic, and when I say domain, remember we talked about domain are the possible x values. And then when we talk about range, we talk about the possible y values. In this case, the domain is actually all the set of x values. It's all real numbers. And the range is limited. And you can see in the graph here, the range, the highest and the maximum point is 3. So y is not all real numbers. Y will be any number that's less than or equal to 3. So in this case, your answer will be D. Number 4, we have to find the inverse, and we know that y equals 5x over 6 plus 10. So to find the inverse, we got to switch the x and the y variable. So you have x equals 5y over 6 plus 10. And then you go about solving for y. Subtract 10 from both sides. So you have x minus 10 equals 5y over 6. Multiply both sides by 6. And you notice that these two are going to cancel, so you're left with 5y equals. Apply the distributive property. 6 times x gives you 6x minus 60. And then you have to divide by 5. So y is equal to 6x over 5 minus 6 divided by 5 is 1, so it's 12. So you look for 6x over 5 minus 12, and your answer is D. Remember that I told you that this notation means that that is the inverse of f. So your answer is D. Number 6 is another inverse. So you have y equals 3x over 4 plus 6. So what you want to do is the x and the y, you want to switch the x and the y. So you have x equals 3y over 4 plus 6. And then what you want to do is you want to solve for y, I'm sorry. Subtract 6 from both sides. So you have x minus 6 is equal to 3y over 4. And since we don't want a 4 in the denominator, we're going to multiply by 4 to both sides. So what you have is you have 4x minus 24 equals 3y. And of course, the last step is to divide by 3. So y equals 4x over 3 minus 8. So your answer is D. And remember that inverse f means inverse, or that -1 means inverse of f. I'm going to solve this equation using the graphing calculator. I've already typed in the left side. Now you go to menu, function, and let's type in the right side. And where the two intersect, those are the answers. So go to menu, intersection. So our first intersection is 1.67. And I'm moving this around, then I need to find that other intersection. Menu, analyze graph, intersection. So the other intersection is 0.037. So what we need to do is we need to kind of investigate. I'm thinking it's going to be 5/3 and 1/27, but we'll check right now. So I did go ahead and verify 1/27 is 0.037 and 5/3 is 1.66. So your answer will be D, but remember we got to check for erroneous answers. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the calculate part. So we have 2, and then we have the absolute value, and we have 4 minus 9 times 5 divided by 3. And then we got to check if it equals 9 times 5 divided by 3 plus 7. That's true. So now let's try 1/27. So we have 2, and we have 1. We have 4 minus 9 times 1 divided by 27. And then you're going to write equals 9 times 1 divided by 27 plus 7. Is that true? That's true. So both answers will be D. Once again, we're going to type in this equation, the left side, into the calculator. So we have 9, and then the absolute value of 2 minus 2x. And then what you do is you press enter. And if you want to move it, you can move it so you can see the graph. Go to menu, graph, function, type in the right side. So you have 3x plus 2, press enter. And where the two intersect, where the two graphs intersect, that will be your answer. So you're looking at 0.762. The 1.33. So it has to be C, 16/21, and then 4/3. So what you also need to do, which I'm going to allow you to do, is check for erroneous answers, extraneous answers. So the answer is C. So I have an absolute value inequality. So it's 7 absolute value x plus 2/3 is less than 15. You really just want the absolute value by itself. So what you have to do is divide both sides by 7. So you have the absolute value of x plus 2/3 is less than 15/7. Now, with absolute value, I know we're working with fractions, but you need to understand that there's always going to be two possibilities. So these are the two possibilities, and I'm going to take off the absolute value bars. So you have x plus 2/3 is less than 15/7, and then the other one will be x plus 2/3 is greater than, and remember, if it's 15/7, it has to be negative 15/7. Now, I know that some of you don't like to work with fractions, so you do have permission to use your calculator. So to solve for x, it's just simply 15/7 minus 2/3. And you get 31/21, which 31/21 would be 1. As a mixed fraction is going to be 1. And you have 10 left over, so it's 10/21. That's the same as 31/21. And then you have negative 15 divided by 7 minus 2/3, right? That will be 2. X is greater than negative 2. 21, so you're left over 17, I think. Yeah, it's 17 over 21. So x is less than 1 and 10 over 20. So here we have x is less than, this one says x is greater than, and C doesn't have 1 and 10/20. This one says x is greater than, so it can't be answer B. And D doesn't have anything dealing with 1 and 10/21. So your answer is A. It says there x is less than 1 and 10/21, which is right here. And x is greater than -2 and 17 over 21. So the answer is A. So we have the absolute value of 2x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 15. So it's going to be 2x plus 5 greater than or equal to 15. The other one will be 2x plus 5 is less than or equal to -15. So when you're dealing with an absolute value, you have two possibilities. One of them is greater than 15. The other one is less than or equal to -15. And then, of course, the absolute values are, the bars are taken off. So you have -5, -5. So you have 2x, and I'm running out of room. You have 2x is greater than or equal to 10. Divide by 2. So x is greater than or equal to 5. This one we subtract 5, so we have 2x is less than or equal to -20 divided by 2. So x is less than or equal to -10. So the only one that satisfies this, I think, is B. Remember, there's an equal sign. It's going to be a closed circle. That means it includes 5. So these are numbers that are greater than 5. And these numbers are less than -10. So your answer is B. So we're going to solve this system. So we have -2x minus y equals 0. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the y to the right side. So you have -2x is equal to y. So there's my first equation. The next equation, I have 5x minus 5y equals -15. I subtract 5x. I subtract 5x. So you have -5y equals -5x minus 15 divided by -5. So y equals x plus 3. And let's see if I did that right. You subtract 5x, so you're going to divide by -5. And so you have x plus 3. So let's go to our graphing calculator. So I'm going to solve this by graphing -2x. Enter. And then I have x plus 3. And the intersection is right here. So go to menu, analyze graph, intersection. So the intersection is -1, 2. So the answer should be D. The answer is D. So I'm going to go ahead and add the ones that are alike. And you notice that those two are alike. So we have 2a to the 5th. And then you have -5a to the 5th. So what you have is -3a to the 5th. The next one I have is -4a. And I have 11a. So that's going to be plus 7a. The next one is a to the 4th. So I don't have another a to the 4th. Another a to the 4th. The next one is a cubed. So 2a cubed and 3a cubed. You get 5a cubed. And then the last one is 5 minus 9, which gives you -4. I'm going to write in standard form. The highest exponent was 5, so I have negative 3a to the 5th. The next one should be a to the 4th. The next one is 5a to the 3rd. The next one is 7a minus 4. So the only one that satisfies this will be answer D. Make sure you have your powers in descending order and make sure you match it correctly. So we have 9x squared minus 10x squared. So that's going to give you negative x squared. We have 6y squared minus a negative 6y squared. So a minus and a minus becomes positive, and that's 12y squared. Then we have 3 minus a negative 4. So that's plus 4. Plus 3, which gives you 7. So it's negative x squared plus 12y squared plus 7. So your answer is 8. So we're going to factor x cubed plus 2x squared minus 15x. You want to find the greatest common factor. In this case, it's x. So you have x squared plus 2x minus 15. And then you want to find the factors of negative 15 that add up to give you 2x. So it's x plus 5 and x minus 3. So your answer is B. Okay, 28, I'm going to use long division. So remember, we have 6x cubed plus 2x squared plus 18x plus 23, and then we're going to divide by x squared plus 3. So what do you multiply x squared to get 6x cubed? In this case, you multiply x. So you're going to write x on top. So we have x times x squared. Oh, actually 6x. So you have 6x times x gives you 6x cubed. Now we have a 0x squared, or we have a 0x. So it's going to have to be here 0x squared. And then we have 6x times 3 gives us 18x. And then we're going to subtract. And you're probably wondering, how did I get 0 here? Well, we have 6x squared is going to be times x squared gives you a 6x cubed. 6x times 3 gives you 18x. We didn't have an x squared, so I'm going to have to put a 0 there. So 6x cubed minus 6x cubed, that's 0. We have 2x squared minus 0x squared, that's 2x squared. And then 18x plus 18x, or 18x minus 18x, that's 0x. Now I bring down to 23. So now what do I multiply x squared to get 2x squared? Well, I'm going to have to multiply by x. Oh, by 2. Plus 2. So I have 2 times x squared gives you 2x squared. And then 2 times 3 gives us 6. Now we didn't have a 0x. And then we're subtracting. So 2x squared minus 2x squared, that's 0. 23 minus 16 gives you 17. So the only ones that give us a remainder of 17 are A and C. So D is out, B is out. So your answer is A. Your answer is A. For 30, I'm going to use synthetic division. So I write on the side x minus 2 equals 0, so x equals 2. And then I list the coefficients. -3, -2, -1, and -2. Now, if there is a power that is missing, you have to account for it, and you have to write a 0. We're okay here. So bring down the -3. 2 times -3 is -6. -2 plus -6 gives you -8. 2 times -8 is -16. And this is -15. -1. -1 plus -16 gives you -17. And 2 times -2 gives you -24, so it's -26. Is there anyone that has a remainder of -26? Okay, so we're going to have to look at this again. 2 times -17 is -34. And -34 plus -2 gives you -36. So the only one that fits that is D. We have -3x squared. -3 is a coefficient for x squared. -8 is a quotient for x. And our constant is -17. So our answer is D. So once again, we're going to divide -6x cubed plus 18x squared minus 7x minus 10 by x minus 2. So you have 2 on the side. And you have -6, 18, -7, -10. Bring down the -6. So 2 times -6 gives you -12. 18 plus -12 gives you 6. 2 times 6 is 12. -7 plus 12 gives you 5. And then 2 times 5 gives you 10. So our remainder is 0. So it's not C and D. And we have x to the third, so it's going to have to be -6x squared plus 6x plus 5. So your answer is A. '34, we're going to have 4 as our, what we're dividing by. It's x minus 4. List the coefficients. You have -4, 21, -23, and 6. Bring down the -4. 4 times -4 is -16. 21 plus -6 gives you -5. 4 times -5 is -20. I want to make sure that I do this correctly. So it's -4, 21, -23, and 6. 4 times -4 is -16. So 21 plus -16 is 5. So this is 5. And then, of course, this is positive 20. So it's -3. 4 times -3 is -12. So 6 minus 12 is 6. So we have -4x squared plus 5x minus 3 with the remainder of 6. So your answer is A. Okay, 36, we have -12. We got 0 because we don't have x squared, and we have also 0 since we don't have x. And then it's 15. Well, it's out of order, so it's going to be -16. And the next one is 1,580. You got to make sure it's in standard form. So once again, this is -12x cubed, so it's -12. We don't have x squared, so that's 0. X is -16, and then we have 1,580. So I'm going to come over here, ready in case I need it. So you have -12. 5 times -12 is -60. 0 plus -60 is -60. 5 times -60 is -300. -316. And then we have 5 times -316 gives you -1,580, which is 0. That's the remainder is 0. So you don't have a remainder. So it's negative 12x squared minus 60x minus 316. So your answer is C. 38, we're simplifying, so we need to write a squared minus a minus 56 in we have to factor it. So we have a, and we need to know what two numbers multiply to give you 56. So we have negative 8 times 7 gives you negative 56. And in the denominator, we have a minus 8. And you notice that we're able to make this 1. The only thing is that is a restriction. A cannot equal 8. So your answer is B. So with 40, we're going to have to factor once again. So we have y minus 6 times y minus 8. Since negative 6 and negative 8 is positive 48. And negative 6y plus negative 8y gives you negative 14y. And then we have y minus 8. And you have y minus 3. And those two are going to cancel. How do I get y minus 8 and y minus 3? 8 times 3 gives you 24. Negative 8 plus negative 3 give you negative 11. Restrictions, y cannot equal 8 because that's going to make the denominator 0. Y cannot equal 3 because that's going to make the denominator 0. So your answer is D. Use grouping to fully factor the polynomials. So you have x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9x plus 18. So we're going to factor by grouping. So you want to find the greatest common factor of the first group, which is x squared. So you have x minus 2 plus, in this case it's minus 9. So you get x minus 2. And you notice that x minus 2 is repeated, so that's a common factor. So x minus 2 times x squared minus 9. You notice that x squared minus 9 is a perfect square. So that's x minus 2. A perfect square means that 3 and negative 3 give you negative 9. 3 plus negative 3 give you 0, so that's why those two factors work. So to fully factor, it's x minus 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. So your answer is C. You've been hearing me say about the greatest common factor. You've been hearing me say about the perfect square. Well, the rule is a squared minus b squared equals a plus b, a minus b. So remember, this is your a squared and is your b squared. So you need to know what a and b is. In this case, a is x, and b is not 64, it's 8. Because 8 to the second power is 64. So it's a plus 8, in this case, x. X plus 8, x minus 8. So your answer is C. 46, we want to find the greatest common factor between the two. So the greatest common factor is x. It's actually 3x. So we're left with 5x plus 2. And how do you check? You just got to multiply. 3x times 5x, 15x squared. 3x times 2 gives you 6x. So your answer is A.